No word yet on plans to extradite 26-year-old Matthew Bacon, charged with killing a man in his downtown condominium here in Austin. Bacon has allegedly confessed to the beating death of 36-year-old David Villarreal in the early morning hours of July 13th. Police say Bacon was arrested 3 days after the murder in Louisiana, allegedly for selling drugs out of his car. He's in jail in West Monroe, Louisiana. On July 13th, surveillance video from the 360 Condo building showed Villarreal and a man police identify as Matthew Bacon arriving at the 360 condos where Villarreal lived. Authorities say Bacon told them he met Villarreal at Rain Bar in downtown Austin and went home with him. Bacon told them that once they were upstairs, he noticed David's belongings, including an iPhone, iPad, and other items, and he hatched a plan. The arrest affidavit says Bacon found a hammer under the kitchen sink and hid the tool beneath the couch. Bacon later retrieved the hammer and forcefully struck David in the back of the head several times. The affidavit goes on to say that afterwards, Bacon retrieved a knife from the kitchen and cut Villarreal's throat to, quote, finish him off. Investigators say Bacon immediately confessed to the killing and began providing the key details. In fact, we are going to send you over to live coverage of the APD news conference on this continued homicide investigation. Let's go to APD headquarters if we can.
Y'all needed something to put a name to whoever was out here.
Right.
Talk about that whole situation.
Yeah, that kind of started about a week ago in terms of us getting information that Mr. Bacon had the victim's cell phone and he had sold it to somebody else, which led us to Harker Heights. And then from there, of course, when you start talking with people in Harker Heights, they start giving you information about where they got it from, which led us back to Belton. From there, it led us to Hearn, which is about an hour, 30 minutes north of Bryan College Station, and which eventually led us to West Monroe.
And it was because he left his actual address?
Yes, he had signed in that hotel. I believe it was a Knights Inn in Belton, off of I-35 in Belton. But he didn't sign in under that name. He used a different name. But the car matched, as well as the first name matched, as well as the ladies he was in contact with knew him there.
Is there anything that can be learned here, either from A, when you buy goods like this from somebody, or B, is there, I know the iPhone has a cloud device where it can track. Is there anything that can be learned from there? Should people just take time to make sure that they have things registered?
Sure. I mean, I think for the most part is make sure you operate that app and use it, because in this case it was beneficial to our case.
What was his demeanor like when he was being interviewed by the detective?
He was very almost apologetic for the most part. He was I think he was still trying, from what I've learned from the detectives, I think he was still trying to get it clear in his mind as why he did what he did.
He's not your, so based on that, he's not your usual suspect who, was looking for someone to prey on. Was this something that was premeditated, or do we think it was just one of those things where he got in there, saw things he wanted?
I think that's kind of what happened. Is I think he had told detectives that his mind had been telling him that he wanted to kill somebody for a while. So when the opportunity presented itself, he went ahead and took that opportunity.
Do you know if that was the first night he'd ever met the victim?
Yes, and that was at the Rain Bars when they met up. Initially, we looked into the possibility that that he might have been, they might have met up somewhere through some sort of phone app, but that was proven to be untrue.
What about Oil Can Henry's? How does that play into?
They were there prior to Rain.
You said...
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they met up at Rain, Oil Can, Harry's, back to the hotel, or back to the condo.
You said last week that y'all were going to look at receipts and video from the bars to see if it led you anywhere. Did that help at all in the investigation?
It was just additional video that we already had pictures of him. So we were just looking for it. We needed something concrete where we could actually start nailing people down to locations, and that came with the lead with the iPhone.
And once you got the name Matthew Bacon, you just ran it through the system and it popped up that he was already in custody?
Correct. One of the U.S. Marshals actually got the name, and then he Googled it, just like anybody would do. And then, of course, probably what you guys did is you saw his photo when it popped up in Louisiana, and that's how we knew. And then from there, it was basically just contacting West Monroe PD to get their assistance with helping us out further the investigation.
The affidavit was very gruesome. Is that a kind of an uncommon thing in Austin? Do you see a lot of that?
Not that I have, but of course my homicide experience is limited to a year and a half, but it's definitely one of the more gruesome ones I've seen since I've been here.
Can you tell us any more about who Matthew Bacon is? Did he have a job? Who was he?
Yeah, we don't know a lot about him right now other than he was homeless, kind of living around the area. I mean, we know that his parents live here in Austin, but that's about all we know on him. We don't have a lot of information on where he worked or anything like that. I think that's probably forthcoming in the next few days when we actually have time to dig into what he was up to or what he was doing, or maybe some of his background, because we'll need that for eventual prosecution.
You mentioned that he said that in his mind had been telling him that he wanted to kill somebody for some time. Do you think he was out that night looking to prey on someone?
That's a good question. I really don't know. I think the way he described it was the opportunity presented itself, so he took that opportunity.
He said he's homeless. Does that mean that the
Could hear our Chris Sadeghi doing much of the questioning. We're watching live coverage of APD's news conference on the 360 condo building killing in downtown Austin. They do have their suspect in custody, Matthew Bacon, charged in the killing of 36-year-old David Villarreal.